Hey everyone, my name is Kevin Creekmore. I'm the owner of Molten Works Glass Studio in Woodinville, Washington. I just kind of wanted to share my story a little bit today, start helping you perhaps find your passion and go where you want to go and do what you want. So a little background on me, I started in high school. I wrote the business plan, and in fact it was my senior project. Of course, my teachers all thought I was a little nuts, as did my parents and a lot of other people, but for good reason. You know, everyone wants to see you succeed and not have to fall on your face. So this is just a little testament to what that kind of means, and we're going to today kind of unpack finding your passion, because I've been asked by people, you know, you're lucky, how did you find it? And I guess I'll say, of course, I'm a little bullheadish, so I pursued it with intent on setting everyone wrong, you know, proving them wrong. And I think I talked about it enough that it had to become real, because if I didn't, I was letting everyone down. So, you know, the first thing is find your strengths. Okay, and we all have them. You know, you're not good at everything. Now, as a startup, that's tough because you do have to dabble in every activity just so you know the business and can then understand it a little more. But you can seek help along the way for those parts that you're struggling with. So look to your strengths. You know, when I was young, I've been selling since I could not walk nearly. You know, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Pokemon, I'm sure you're all familiar with that, all the way up to in junior high selling Airheads, as well as continuing that in high school. Now, beyond that, I just had that personability and mentality of being able to talk with people. I learned it from the restaurant industry, from working in hotels as a valet. You know, you have to interact with a customer, you have to walk them up a quiet elevator, make small talk, and then down a long hallway. So you become really good at interacting with people and finding, you know, how can you connect with someone, because if you can connect with them, you will ultimately unlock, you know, something deeper and be able to, you know, be visible to people, is what I would say. So that leads me to connecting the dots. You know, looking back, I can see that I was good at art. Well, I always just dabbled in it. I wasn't good at painting, I wasn't good at drawing, so it's very specific, you know. Again, strengths are paired. You can't fit into the, what is a creative person? Well, I could do 3D, and it was clay and other, you know, models, and I enjoyed that, but it didn't translate into, I'm good at drawing, I'm good at painting, I'm good at, and in school a lot of times they teach you that that's all that being an artist is, and that's not. There's many different aspects to being an artist. So as Steve Jobs said in his Stanford speech, look to connect the dots backwards. He said, looking forwards, I had no idea where it would lead me, but I look back, and everything you should look at as an experience to what leads you forward. You know, I can relate every job I've had to connecting with customers, to learning how to do that, all the way back to lifeguarding and running private parties, which is now a majority of my business. So never take an opportunity for granted, and always seek to find the positives within your experiences, because it will lead you to greater results. Once you kind of assess your strengths, learn to dabble in what you love or what you think you love. If you love music, what about music do you like? Explore different areas, talk to people. You know, the best way is to learn from people that experienced it or are in the industry that you're interested in. I've talked to about 4 or 5 what I consider mentors as well, but artists that have been in the business, glass artists, for over 30 years. They have the experience. They saved me many, many years of time and allowed me to grow at an exponential rate, which the more you read and the more you can learn, the more you'll be able to cut out the learning the hard way, which is what I typically had to do, so I speak firsthand. So during this dabbling phase, start incubating those ideas. Start just trying. It's your side hustle. You know, if you really want it, you start it on the side. You can't just jump in and expect it, because expectation is the thing that's going to let you down the most. Pursue it. Don't chase the money. Pursue what interests you. You never know what it's going to turn into until you do it. When I started, I was out to be a production artist. You know, this was my first product, a vase. I made this in high school, and it didn't work out. You know, it's very top heavy, it has this big rim, and it's very fragile. So you got to look at those kind of things, and if I had stopped there, of course it wouldn't work. You know, I went to big investors and they said it's not scalable or feasible. Well, you better bet your bottom dollar that I then pursued it and said, okay, well, how can I make this scalable and feasible? Because until that point, you're just in startup mode, which is just trying to figure out what works and what doesn't, and it's going to take a lot of failure and a lot of time. So next is to plan your vision or your goal. You gotta have an objective. You know, when I started, it was very subjective. It was millionaire by 25. I didn't know what that meant, and it wasn't to chase the money. It was just that, like, that's never been done, or, well, I shouldn't say that's been done less often. My other buddy told me, you know, the average millionaire makes it on 40. And I was like, okay, well, I don't want to be average. So become the mindset and become the person you want by not only outwardly speaking it, but you really have to think it. Because if you don't think it and you don't believe it yourself, but you tell people, then you'll never materialize what you want, because you have to actually believe it. So set your vision, set your goal. Where do you want to be? Now, that was very subjective, of course. Now it's pared down and become, I want to share creativity with everyone. And then think about your why. Why are you doing what you do? You know, do you like music, but why? And what are you really trying to achieve? Really dig deep, and don't be afraid to ask questions and talk to people that have done it. And that why, though, is so important, because it's going to push you through the tough times. And I say that because I fell on my face, I moved in my studio, and I thought, this is it. I made it. There is no making it, because it's life. It's continuous. The constant thing in life is change. So you really have to understand that what's going to get you through those tough times is your why, and surrounding yourself with people that you want to be like, and also, you know, being able to then impact others that want to be around you. Because if you're the smartest one in the room, you're in the wrong room, and you're not going to grow. And you got to get into this growth mindset. You got to always be willing to change and listen. Ask yourself this. You don't know what you don't know. So maybe this person comes from a point of not understanding where you're at, and they don't even know that. So how can, you know, just be aware of that, and you'll start to change your thinking. Things won't necessarily seem so negative. You'll be able to pull yourself out of a situation and really see how you can change and then affect people in a different way. So to kind of recap really quick, just look to your strengths. Okay, your strengths are going to define kind of what you can get into. You know, you may not be the best seller, but you have a killer product. You can design a killer product. So find your seller, and be wary of partnerships. They're harder than marriage. Well, that's another time. Okay, so look to your strengths, connect the dots backwards. Look at everything as an experience to move you forwards. And then second, start dabbling. It's going to be your side hustle at first. You got to figure out what it actually is before you can commit. And it took me a long time, you know, about 5 years I was dabbling. And it was side, and I always had a little side job. You know, and this year I finally got to go fully self-employed. So you got to be willing to be a chameleon and work, because work is going to get you through. So as you're dabbling, it's going to be double work. You're going to have to sacrifice, okay? So next is going to be plan your vision. Now that you've started side hustling, you're figuring it out, start planning that vision, and you can even do that earlier on, and it'll start to materialize, but always come back to that so that you can figure out, where am I at, what do I want, and how do I move forward with that. So I just am going to start sharing kind of some fun stories and, you know, times that I experienced to kind of help you through, and also so that you don't end up, you can avoid the pitfalls and some of the experiences that I had to go through. But hope you have, you guys, a great day. Again, I'm Kevin with Molten Works, and thanks for listening. And again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to start reaching out to me. I will start answering them in videos. I got this sweet new GoPro, so I'm super stoked to start sharing everything with you guys. So thanks again for listening, and have a great rest of your day.